Rick in Portland, Oregon writes, "Hi, Paul. I find that audio, acoustical, and electrical engineer Dave Ratt, never heard the name, but okay, to be a fascinating character. Specifically, it's his thesis that traditional stereo hi-fi and surround sound is far from ideal, and the actual sound of the instruments in real space are not being properly represented. And I think I could go along with that. Rather, he postulates that what we should be reproducing is the individual sound sources from individual speakers or speaker arrays arranged to replicate the position of the musicians." Well, Dave, if you're listening, and Rick, if you're listening, I completely agree. This is one of my theories that has, well, I'm sure I'm not the only person, obviously not, but it just makes sense. The experiment that I've always done in my head, and I've never tried this, is let's take a quartet, just to keep it simple. 4-piece band. You got drums, bass, a saxophone, and what? A vibraphone? Yeah, that sounds like a good mix. Okay. Normally, the 4 would be up on stage. We would take a stereo microphone or multiple microphones. We would record it. We would play it back in stereo. Or we might do those multiple microphones, make multiple tracks in our recording system, and then play it back in 13-channel Dolby surround. All of that is designed to simulate what we heard as a listener sitting there absorbing this information. What's being proposed here, and what I've thought for many years, which would be so cool, is what would happen if you went back on the same stage. You individually mic'd the performers. Then you go back on the same stage and you replace each of the performers with a loudspeaker. And you put it in exactly the same position that the performer was. And then you draw a curtain across the whole thing and do the experiment. Would we hear the difference between live performers on the stage, or would it sound the same if we didn't know by having those various speakers representing the reproduced sound of those musicians? And I would put forward that it would take a really trained ear to hear the difference. And I don't even know at that point. But while that's an interesting idea, I mean, imagine a 50-piece orchestra with 50 speakers on the stage. I'm sure it would sound pretty much just like the orchestra. But that's not very practical. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. But it is a fascinating idea. And I like using mental models like that because it helps me, in the big picture of things, figure out, well, all that's probably true. So how could we get closer to that? And that's what we at PS Audio always are striving to do, is to get closer to the sound of live music. So thanks for that interesting question. I appreciate it. All right. Take it easy. Bye.